Hey there, investors, coming at you approximately 30 minutes after the market has closed, and wow, what a day we have had. I have to admit the later part of the day specifically really surprised me where we saw the end of day run up from a price of about 15.21 all the way to about 15.40. Now this is particularly surprising because when we anticipate looking at what we usually see on Friday, we usually see the last half of the day being quite red, and the main reason for that is the effect it would have on options, but this week that is not in fact the case and we are finishing in the green. Now, one important thing to note thus far is we do still have the after hours to go, and so far we're stepping down in that period by 9 cents, bringing us down to 15.28. But we've already looked at the options data today in our former video. If you do want to see that one, do make sure to check out the erstwhile episode that we published, because we did speak about the two key levels for today, or arguably 3 or 4, all the way from 14.50 to 16. 16 on the high end would have been a win, 14.50 on the low end would have been a loss. 15, honestly, not bad either way. Looking at what we see for volume at this point, we're finishing with about 31,495 calls in the money at 15 alone, with an additional 8,000 at 14 and 3,000 at 14.50. Now again, if we were to come up to 15.50, be that in after hours or just theoretically, that would have brought in an extra 22,000, and coming up to 16 exactly would have brought in an extra 18,000 on top of that 22,000. But I'm not trying to diminish what we've seen here at all. It really is a big win, but the question is, can we maintain those gains into the after hours portion of the market? Again, down 9 cents so far, that's only half a percentage. And whilst we are only at about 15.30 at the moment, it's not impossible that we could see a step up in the after hours, or equally just the market remain flat. But if we remain above 15, again, remaining above 15, we're still going to be seeing all of those calls in the money at the 15 mark, which will of course work as a win for us. Now, we're going to be focusing on some other key info and statistics for you guys quickly. Again, I did just want to highlight what we have seen in the after hours, because today, specifically the late part, like I said, was a massive win and something which we didn't really expect. So if we have a look at this data all compiled, we're going to refresh the page and you can see closing price 15.37, roughly, give or take, but we're seeing about 67,805 calls expiring in the money. So clearly that's quite good. And if we'd have closed up at 16,000, yes, that would have been an extra 28k like I said, but honestly, who can complain at this point? Now the shares available to borrow, that's a point of 650k at 8.1%. So that is what we're seeing for the end of day coming from this time. Stonko tracker in case you are interested, but yes, it was very interesting to see that price movement towards the end of day. Again, looking throughout the day, we can see that the amount of shares available, it fluctuated about 550k in the morning, coming up to 700 in the afternoon, but really towards the end of day, we hit those points of 650k. So clearly, a lot of variation there. Now, when we have a look at other data that we may be interested in with AMC, we can see that things are still looking the same. We've seen the same old data when it comes, generally speaking, to the dark pools. Again, dark pool data is shown here. We can see the net volume for that when it comes to the figures, and the position which is shown here. Again, not really a surprise at this point, but you can look over this data quickly if you wish. I don't want to spend too much of you guys' time looking at this right now, but I do think it is also quite key to just briefly mention it. Now, we're going to be talking about this more in another episode, but just briefly touching on it, what we're seeing now is failure to delivers spiking once again. Now, when we have a look at dates, we're looking at our more recent dates here. The current date, by the way, is the 15th of July, in case you're wondering. So recently, when we've seen these price increases, and when we see the historical data, the more recent period, and again, we're only moving up here to about the 30th of last month, so of course it is lagging a bit, but the data that we have thus far as of here is spiking when it comes to failure to delivers. Again, FTDs is the yellow, and the greenish blue colour, sort of turquoise, is the price. So price action, again, not moving very much, but it does look quite tense down there, potentially ready for a breakout. But what we're seeing is failure to delivers higher than we have ever seen before. Now, I'm going to be speaking more on this in a little bit, but one thing that I do want to mention, last time we saw failure to delivers really spike was about April/May of the previous year, where we saw them really rise. What happened after we saw that? Well, I think it's pretty obvious, and the price. Now, we're going to be discussing that in grave detail in a bit, so do make sure to join us for that. But the key takeaways that I want to share with you in this video are these. Number one, let's keep our eyes on the post market. It's going to be key and crucial to watch that. The after hours volume so far is doing quite well, again about 30 minutes after the markets have closed, and we are actually seeing about 119k in volume for the after hours. Other key things that we want to be looking at for the next couple of days, again, we're going to be looking to see what happens on Monday based on the price action that we have seen today, and again, look at the effect that those calls may have. The question is, will they actually utilize the process efficiently, or will they convert this into continuous and more failure to delivers? We'll be discussing that later, so make sure to join us for our next episode. As usual, guys, for now it's a goodbye, and I'll see you all in a bit for the next episode indeed.